Hello there. This is Leadership in 30 Minutes. Leadership in 30 Minutes. And it's my pleasure coming to you again this morning on your favorite leadership program. Um, why do ambitious leaders fail? Why do ambitious leaders fail? That's what we'll be talking about this morning. Why ambitious leaders fail. My name is Olatunji Shobodu, and as I've said, it is leadership in 30 minutes, not leadership Monday, leadership in 30 minutes. And by the way, you can check your edition, your nugget for this week delivered on Monday at Leadership Monday. And, um, you know, I think on Monday we spoke about something that's very, very interesting. I won't say what it is, but check out the video and you will discover it. But it's a nugget that you certainly need to have. It is good to be ambitious. It is good to be an ambitious leader. But ambitious leaders don't always succeed. Ambitious leaders run a major risk. And when that risk crystallizes, it undermines their ability to succeed. It undermines the effectiveness of their leadership. Should you be ambitious as a person, as a leader? Oh, yes. Should you be careful in the pursuit of your ambition? Oh, yes. Will ambition give you any advantage? Will it be a leverage that you can take advantage of to succeed? I believe so to some extent. However, it is only one ingredient among a basket of ingredients that you need to succeed in your leadership assignment. And so I want to look at that subject today. But, there is an interesting twist that we'll be bringing in. And so there are one or two other messages that you must take away today about leadership and how to be effective as a leader. And we bring you this again from the perspective of truth. At Emmet Leadership Academy, which is the platform upon which we bring you leadership in 30 minutes. At Emmet Leadership Academy, we nurture leaders based on just one thing, the truth. The truth. And the truth, for avoidance of doubt, is founded in the Word of God. The truth is founded in the Word of God. So we bring you leadership with a faith favor. All right. And nothing is more powerful. Nothing is more powerful. I mean, it is clear that Jesus was the greatest leader, is the greatest leader to have ever lived. He built up a team of 12. One dropped because he had a different mandate to fulfill, but that team of 12 went ahead to do great things. Their impact is still being felt today, meaning that his leadership, the impact of his leadership is still being felt till today. And that's the challenge that you and I have. That's what you and I are called to do leadership right in a way that long after you have done your part and you have gone, the impact of your leadership will still be felt. The impact of your leadership will still be felt. So that's a challenge. And I think that's an interesting flavor that our perspective to leadership brings to the assignment. And it's also, what makes it very exciting, in my view. And I think, that should be the case in your view as well. So today, I want to examine a scenario from Genesis 11, and you can read it. I think it's from verse 1 to 11. Let's look at what happened there. What happened there by summary. As I say, usually I just summarize. We don't go through the scriptures explicitly on leadership in 30 minutes, but be on the lookout. Join the Authentic Leadership Academy. There we look at the specifics of scripture in expressing and espousing on the principles of leadership. All right, so I'm just basically going to summarize. In that situation, we saw where a group of people were traveling. They settled somewhere, and we were told about certain attributes of these people. But when they got to this point, they spoke to themselves and they agreed. They said, look, let's build a great city for ourselves with a tower that reaches to heaven, or to the sky, if you like. Let's build a great city for ourselves. All right. And that city should have a tower that reaches to heaven. It's something nobody has ever done. All right. Something that is profound, a landmark that will be there perhaps forever. These were ambitious people, and obviously led by an ambitious leader, because you wouldn't have a people like that, a team like that, if you like, who didn't have an ambitious leader. They weren't likely to come to a common understanding on this initiative if they didn't have an ambitious leader. So they were generally an ambitious team, motivated and led by an ambitious leader. And so this was what they wanted to do. They wanted to get great results. They wanted to get landmark results. They wanted to register their presence in no small way. Okay, they wanted to do what had never been done before. Up till that time, we are not told that anyone had attempted anything like that. It's the kind of group that you would like to have. It's the kind of group, people who can dare anything, as it were, that, you would like to have. It's a kind of group that is totally committed to the leader. Any leader would like to be in that position, to lead that kind of team. It's a team of possibilities. It's a team that does not entertain excuses. And they began that project. So it wasn't just that they were fantasizing. It wasn't just that they had imagined that it was possible. It was they started out the project. They started out the project. So they began to walk their talk. They began to walk their thought. And that's the thing about, ambitious people, all right, especially those who are sufficiently motivated to act on their ambition, So these guys began on the assignment. They began on the assignment. Now, but the long and short is that they had to abandon the assignment. They failed in their quest. Was it because of the ambition, not quite, but because of what ambition can provoke. So ambition in itself is not a problem. At least it wasn't the problem here. But ambition can lead to other problems. It can bring up other issues. It can undermine the quest of the ambitious. And that's why when you're ambitious, there are things to be mindful of. There are limits and boundaries to observe. Otherwise, you will run into very serious trouble. Otherwise, failure is imminent. Failure is imminent. And I believe that a lot of us, passionate, ambitious, who even had a clear understanding of how to achieve our ambition, failed ultimately. And we failed because of what I'm going to point out here. Now, look at the power I want you to see. So, if you are doing leadership, there are two things that I want you to take away that you can leverage for success in your assignment. You may not have been very conscious of that, but let me draw your attention to something. So, in this instance, we're told that then God came in because he observed them. Wow, these guys are ambitious. And so he observed a couple of things about that. The first thing was that these guys were united. This was a united team. And this team was united in their understanding. They were united in terms of, sharing a common belief in what they were capable of doing. They were united in terms of the power of their imagination. So, without being united, they couldn't even have agreed on the pursuit of this project. So, are you a leader? You should seek to leverage the power of unity. The power of unity, or if you like, the power of a united team. As long as your team is not united, as long as your team does not share a common understanding of where you are going, where you are taking them to, as long as your team does not share common faith in your leadership, whatever you are doing now, whatever results you are getting now, you are underperforming, sir. You are underperforming, ma. If you would improve on the unity of your team, your results would improve tremendously. Tremendously. If you would improve on the unity of your team. So, how united is your team? If you are concerned about your performance in any area as a team, examine the unity of your team. What do you share common understanding? Are you all on the same page? That's number one. So God exposed the power of unity among these very ambitious people. All right. Number two, he said that they had the same language. So we see the second factor here, the power of communication. The power of communication. They weren't just united, they were also speaking one language. Each one understood the other. In fact, one interpretation said they used the same words. So there was no communication gap. communication was effective. Because of effective communication, they understood very well each other. No one was busy second guessing. No one was busy misinterpreting. No one was getting upset because of what he or she interpreted what somebody else said. They were speaking one language. Now, not just one language in the sense of speaking English or speaking Spanish or speaking, French. No. What the Bible meant here is that communication among them was flawless, was very effective. And this also expresses the importance of communication for leaders. If you are not taking communication seriously as a leader, if you are still talking, not mindful of the message you are getting across, if you are not taking steps to improve yourself in the area of communication, what you're doing is that you are missing out on a wonderful opportunity to run a very effective team. And guess what? Your team will not communicate better than the quality of the communication of the leader. That's the truth. Your team will not communicate better than the quality of your communication as a leader. The leader sets the quality of communication. The leader works to ensure that there is effective communication within the team. The leader uses communication as a primary instrument in the course of the assignment. Seldom would you find a leader deficient in communication skills doing a great job. So this is the second thing to be mindful of. I suspect that many leaders, many of us need to work on our communication. And by the way, communication doesn't refer to just the words you speak, it's the totality of it. So in it, there are issues of feedback, there are issues of listening, there is how to ask questions and all of that. So these were all the things that the leader of this group got very right. They were all speaking the same language. They were all speaking. There was effective communication. So they had those two things going for themselves. This team who were so ambitious, they wanted to build a tower that will get to heaven. They wanted to do something that nobody else had done before. They had two things going for them. They had two things driving their ambition. They had two things that they relied upon heavily: the power of unity and the power of communication. And look at the verdict of God. God said, these people who have these two characteristics, who are this ambitious, these characteristics, by the way, further fueled their ambition. And he said, nothing will stop them from achieving what they have set to do. Nothing will stop them from achieving what they were set to do. So, let your ambition rest on the power of unity, on the power of communication. It's very important. It's very important. You see, the ambition had the certainty that it was going to deliver because they channeled that ambition to form a united team and to form, that was characterized by effective communication, common understanding, operating from the same page. So you would ask, what was the problem? Why did they fail? As ambitious leaders, I want to fail. Why did they fail? And here is why. And this is what you must be careful about. And let's bring one more factor that God observed into the equation. What the people said when they decided to build, to do these great things, to pursue this ambitious project, was, come, let us build a great city for ourselves. For what? Ourselves, with a tower that reaches into heaven or into the sky. And then they went further to say, this will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world. This will make us famous. This will make us famous. There lies the problem with ambition, with ambitious leader. This will make us famous. They said, let us build a great city for ourselves. Problem. Therein lies the problem. What's your motivation as a leader? What's your motivation? Is it about you? Is leadership about you? Is the ambition about you? The problem is that many are ambitious, not about any other person, but they want to make a name for themselves. They want to become famous. They want to become the one whom everybody reckons with, salutes, celebrates, praises. The motivation is them. They are ambitious, but self-centered and selfish. It's about them. It's about them. And that was the problem. That was the problem. That's the problem of ambition. The truth is, ambitious leaders fail more often than not when their motivation is wrong. And leadership is not about you. Leadership is about others. How when you're ambitious is great, but when your ambition is driven by selfishness, self-centeredness, by self-interest, you are bound to fail as a leader. You are bound to fail. Everywhere, check it. When ambition is wrongly motivated, meaning the end of what you want, what is driving you and what you want to achieve is so that you can be projected, you can benefit, so that you can, be placed. If it is pride in a sense, then you are bound to fail. In fact, so the point is that when you have ambitious people who are able to infect their team with the same attitude, with the same spirit, if you like, it's great, but they must be careful to ensure that the ambition is not about them. It's not about the leader. And indeed, once that spirit that attitude is shared by the team, it must not be about the team. It must not be about the team, because your team is being taught how to lead, not how to get results primarily. A leader's primary responsibility is to reproduce leaders. So your team is being led to becoming leaders. And if you lead your team with an ambitious spirit that is motivated by selfishness or self-interest, that's what is the kind of leadership that you are building your people into. And by the way, that approach to leadership will fail. That approach to leadership will fail. It will fail. It will fail. It will fail. And there are examples of it. Whenever the leader takes his or her eye off the ball, and that means whenever your leadership is no longer about the people you are leading and the benefit you bring to the larger community, and it's now focusing on you, is to benefit you, you have moved on the path to failure. You have moved on the path to failure. So this team ended up being destroyed. The ambition was punctuated. Why? Because God scattered them, created a problem with communication. And that means also that if you are a leader of an organization, for example, or of a bigger team, and you have smaller teams that are led by some of your people, wherever you observe an ambitious lead, an ambitious, head of one of your sub teams who has been able to unite the people under him, who has the power of communication in his hands, and you want to do something about it because their motivation is wrong, because all of that is being used to benefit the leader and or his team, what do? You create a situation where you tamper with their communication. Once communication is no longer effective, you weaken the ability of the people to get great things done. You weaken the ability of the people to get great things done. And you can start rebuilding the team from that point. You can start rebuilding the team from that point. That's basically, what God did here. That's the way to go, And one of the ways you can do is also to change the leader. It's also to change the leader. When you change the leader, the new person has to now begin to build, the team again, to get them to a point of understanding. And then, of course, you can address this issue of motivation. You can address this issue of motivation. It's interesting that, God didn't draw their attention to what was wrong, the fact that their motivation was wrong. He didn't even give them an opportunity to do something about it. He simply disbanded them. And it wasn't that he had an issue with their project. He said nothing can stop these guys from achieving whatever it is that they imagine to do. That if I leave them, if they are left like this, they would accomplish that project. They will build the city. It will be a great city, and it will have that landmark tower that reaches to heaven. They will. They will. I mean, we see great things being done today. All right. But there are limits. There are limits. There are limits. So that is what we'll be covering today on leadership in 30 minutes. On leadership in 30 minutes. Remember, ambition is good, but ambition can still meet with failure in your leadership position and responsibility. You can leverage ambition on the power of unity and the power of communication. Those are two things that every leader should work towards achieving, because you derive such power to get results when you can achieve, those two characteristics in your team. When your team is characterized by those two attributes, unity and effective communication, that's a powerful team. That's a team that can be led to doing anything. All that you need is to ensure that the motivation behind whatever you're going to channel that advantage to, all right, is right. And what is right motivation is to engage in activities, engage in the pursuit of initiatives that benefit others, not just you. Indeed, not you as the center. Don't be selfish. That's one of the problems that ambition breeds. And pride. And whenever pride comes in, everything scatters. Everything scatters. God resists the proud. Men resist the proud. Once pride sets in, everything scatters. And pride is the height of self-interest and self-centeredness. Okay? And I hope you bear that in mind. And where you have unity and you have effective communication, great things happen there. If you look at Psalm 133, you would see from verses 1 to 3, you would see there, where there is unity. It said there, the Lord pours his blessing. If you look at Acts chapter 1, 2, 3, you would see when the Spirit came down upon the people, and they spoke in other tongues. When the power came upon them, we were told that they were all gathered in one accord. They were gathered in one accord. So there was a united spirit among them. They had a common understanding, also because they had all been under the tutelage of a powerful leader. All right. And they went on to do great things. But if you look at that team, they did not abuse those attributes of unity and effective communication. They didn't. They channeled the power that gave them to the right things. It wasn't about that. It was about being a blessing to others. And many of us need to learn that. Many of our leaders need to learn that. People aren't doing leadership today because they're ambitious to get into position. They're ambitious to pursue projects and initiatives. But if you ever thought that they were doing it for the benefit of others, the people that they're serving, then you'll be mistaken. Most times they're doing it for themselves. And as long as you're doing it for yourself, that's also the reason they often fail, by the way. That's the reason that they often fail. So that's it. We've been talking about why ambitious leaders fail, and I hope that you've taken some very important nuggets out of today's Leadership in 30 Minutes. And it's been my pleasure bringing this to you today. My name remains Olatunji Shobodu, founder and CEO at Emed Leadership Academy. where we nurture leaders based on truth. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe right now. And just hit the subscribe button so that you can get notice of when every time ahead of every of our editions. And you can visit also the channel. There are many more videos that offer great value, great insights that will help you to do leadership right. And you may want to reach out to me if you need help or assistance, support, counsel in any aspect of your leadership, particularly if you're one of those who is interested in operating by truth, operating by the principles of God. They're sure principles. They work. They've worked all these years. They work in season and out of season. They make a difference in the quality of leadership, that you would offer. So I encourage you to reach out, and you may also be interested in some of our programs at Emet Leadership Academy. One of them, of course, is the Profit from Parables Bootcamp. What happens there? It's an adventure into a life of service. Okay. And so what we do is to walk through the 38 parables of Jesus to pick the principles there, and particularly as they apply to at least 8 areas of our lives, 8 areas of the life of anyone, so that you can begin to anchor your daily living to those principles. That's what Jesus did. He lived by the same principles that he taught. And we're told that he never taught without parables. And there's a reason why a man who came and did only 2 things throughout, his ministry, and was a major leader, what did he do? He taught and he healed, or he solved problems. Those were the only 2 things he did. Those were the only 2 things he did. And he taught in order to heal, all right? Because once he taught, it provided the basis for understanding for the people who needed healing. And so they could tap into that power. Okay, so when you come on this boot camp, you gain insights that you can apply to solve the problems that you encounter in day-to-day living. And there is no problem that is not covered by at least one of those parables. If Jesus anchored his ministry and his life to them, if he didn't teach without using parables, and I didn't say that, the Bible says that very clearly, then you need it. I need it. And that's what we try to do. That's the way I try to live. Parables are a cornerstone of my approach to living. A source of leverage like no other. And I commend to you, check out, join the next cohort. You wouldn't regret it by any means. Once again, thank you for joining me today. It's been a great time. I have enjoyed bringing this to you. I look forward to seeing you on Monday. On Monday, 11 a.m. West African time, we're here together take delivery of your nugget for doing leadership right for the week. And then you can join me again on Leadership in 30 Minutes next week, Thursday, same time, and we'll be examining another interesting issue from the principles adopted by the great leader, Jesus Christ. And as you learn that, change your approach to leadership, change the quality of your leadership, impact and results, and be a leader of value, a leader of value who delivers impact to others. Enjoy the rest of your day, or the rest of your day, your week, and God bless you. Bye bye.